See you all. Great
Yes,
to be back.
we are family. Hey, 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 hey. I got all my big picture family with me.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the big picture. You never know what you're going to get on this show. I mean, we're
Mixed bag.
we're entertaining. Is this an entertainment show?
I'm not sure we're entertaining, but we are here.
We are.
Nobody else is here, but we're here.
No, there are other people's here.
No, I mean in this room.
Oh, in this room. Yeah, that's true. We are in this room by ourselves.
So you get us.
So I'm looking at half of the people watching right now has smashed the like button. The other half has just forgot about it. I know you just forgot about it because I know you would not willingly not smash the like button because I know you don't just like it, you love it.
Surely.
So smash that like
And
button.
hello, Jennifer from California. Great to have you back as always.
Yes, she's our keeping us up to date on the secret China lab out there. It's right in her neighborhood.
Yes.
If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And listen, right now it's very, very important. I got an assignment for you, homework assignment. Get as many people on the big picture as you can, and send them the replay. Get them excited. Bring them into the big picture family. Join the party because we are excited about what's happening.
Yes.
Here on the big picture.
We're going to update you or indoctrinate you with the
one
news.
of the two. Let's get right into the news tonight. And of course, this is what's on everybody's heart. This is just heartbreaking. What is happening in?
How many days into this event are we? This is close to 2 weeks now.
Yeah, and still some people are not able to get to what used to be their homes. But this article here, let's see if we can blow it up just a little bit. That text just a little bit too small here. Exclusive Maui Wildfires death toll climbs to 480 locals claim as Hawaii morgue workers run out of body bags and survivors are left to recover the charred remains of their loved ones. Now, when I first saw this headline,
we need to stress locals claim because that's the key part that hinges this entire article.
Yeah, locals have been forced to carry out their own search and recovery efforts in the aftermath of the deadly Lahaina wildfires and the slow response from officials, DailyMail.com has learned. Maui resident and volunteer Alison Medina, 24, has also claimed authorities are underplaying the death toll.
You think?
You think?
By a little, maybe?
And she says, I know that there are at least 480 dead here in Maui, and I don't understand why they're not saying that.
This article, let's stress, was from the 18th on Friday, but still.
I haven't heard this on the regular news. I hadn't heard them saying this many.
No, absolutely not. The official report is like 115.
115,
as of yesterday, I don't know what they're saying today, but that's a far cry from 480. And, this article, my goodness, it's an indictment. It wouldn't hurt to read the entire article.
Yeah, okay. So Maui authorities are dramatically underplaying the number of people known to have died in the inferno that ripped through Lahaina last week, with locals telling DailyMail.com that the actual death toll is at least 480 and that morgues are running out of body bags. The figure is quadruple that of the official number of 111, and some of the relatives of the victims have been left to uncover the remains of their own loved ones themselves.
Recover their charred remains.
What?
Can you imagine?
Due to the glacial progress, the slow progress of the search and rescue operation. On Tuesday, Maui Mayor Richard Bisson said that just 25% of the stricken town had been searched, although expected the figure to increase to 85% by Saturday. And you can see here, these are makeshift morgues.
Yes.
This is a really tragic picture because
what is that, 8 or 9 of these makeshifts?
Yeah. Just containers there, trucks. These actually trailers for trucks. And then as they zoom in from the drone, you can see that. I mean, my goodness, that's just horrible. They're going in, they're using them as morgues. And then, of course, you can see they're got morgue operations on their shirt. And so I have not played this video. It's only a minute, so let's just go ahead and play this and see what we get here. I think it's just them, and it may just be a scratch, not a video. So it says, Alison Medina, as we've referenced, 24, who's lived in Maui for 5 years, has spent the past 2 weeks making perilous trips into Lahaina to help burned-out residents. Speaking in an exclusive interview with DailyMail.com, she said, quote, people have been doing their own recovery. I know there are at least 480 dead in Maui. I don't understand why the authorities are not saying it. I do know they ran out of body bags by the first or second night and had to ship some in from the mainland. She went on to tell DailyMail.com, I have a personal friend who lost her parents, sister, and her 10-year-old nephew. She went into Lahaina and saw them there. She said 100% not enough is being done, so people are doing it themselves. The government relief organizations, they're not doing anything. She added, we have the right to know what's going on. FEMA came here to help with the recovery process, but we don't see them. We're only 100 miles from Oahu. Think of this statement. We're only 100 miles from Oahu, which has several military bases. Why is the response so lacking, and why are they doing so little? Why is nothing else being done?
Keep going down. There's more. Goodness.
Okay, so she said, why didn't they turn on the sirens?
Hello.
This is a big thing that a lot of people are asking.
Why did they turn the water off?
Why did they turn the water?
Why did the police block streets and tell people that we're just following orders?
Yes. She said the sirens are not just for tsunamis. Go to their website, and it says on their website the sirens are for fires and other disasters, everything. What he said is so disgusting and disrespectful. Does he really think people would run towards fire that they wouldn't have looked out and seen it? Is he talking about the mayor? Is she talking about the mayor there? FEMA. I think she's talking about FEMA's recovery. And there's another shot of that. And these are some of the shots.
Look at these vehicles.
My goodness.
I'm telling you, this doesn't the California fires. This is what the California fires look like. Look at the street. Why is the asphalt not completely buckled, melted? But the car, it's ridiculous.
That's interesting.
So go on down and look at the trees.
Yeah.
How is this accomplished?
Very,
it's very curious to me.
Curious.
But if you had any recollection and knowledge of these California fires, the car fire, the camp fire, going back to at least 2018, when these same things happened, people burnt up in their cars, just like they did in this fire.
Wow.
Their homes are nothing but a pile of ashes and a few blocks or a slab foundation, but the trees and the foliage are still standing around the homes. It's quite crazy.
Very suspect. Very suspect. And of course, we're not even getting into what some of the theories of the origin of the fire, and then you talk about the type of fire is not a typical fire. A typical forest fire, even a raging forest fire, does not melt metal. And a lot of there are reports that there are different places of molten metal being that in different places. Yeah. Look at this part of the story. It says,
you must read on.
It says, other stories back up Allison's account that have also come to light, with Southwest flight attendant Sarah Trost, 30 of Sacramento, California, posting a video on TikTok on Tuesday sharing details of conversations with a part-time morgue worker who drove her shuttle from the airport to her hotel that day. Trost said the man who had also told her that 480 people had been confirmed dead, that authorities have actually only searched 13%.
And this is someone from working the morgue. He's helping.
He's a temporary morgue worker. Yeah. So the morgue,
he would know, right?
Right.
Maybe he's lying.
The morgue worker who is volunteering in the search also described finding scores of bodies, adding that many were families.
This is devastating.
God almighty, I'm about to cry.
What you're about to read is devastating.
Including young children who had died at their homes in each other's arms.
Entire families
to escape
children
the flames.
Holding each other, mothers holding their children.
Wow. He found so many children and moms holding each other's infants, toddlers, the unimaginable, husbands and wives, whole entire families in a room just huddling together, burning to death. It's all bones. So he's grabbing the bones with the ash, shoveling them into body bags. They have no more room on the island in the morgue, and they're shipping in containers to hold those body bags. My God.
And at this point, still more than 1,000 missing. Now, this was 3 days ago.
I don't think the numbers have officially been updated past that, even though it's been 3 days.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Why would you turn the water off? Why would you prevent people from moving through streets to escape what was coming?
5 hours. Am I right on thinking that it came out that 5 hours the water was turned off?
I don't know how many hours it was, but if anyone out there has seen the interview with this local named Fish, he's an older man. He tells someone who is doing almost daily videos that, I saw it. I walked up on this line of vehicles. The cars were not moving. I got to the front of the line and asked the police officer, "What are you doing? These people need to move. They need to get their cars out of here.
Yeah.
The fire is just a couple of streets over. It's going to be here very soon. And all he could be told was, we're just following orders. So the man said, I kept moving. I was on foot. I kept moving. I kept walking. And it wasn't long. I started hearing explosions. Boom, boom, boom. And obviously we know now many people died in their cars, in their homes, some even on foot, trying to escape. And as you all know, people said they ran for their lives. They ran to the water. They jumped into the water.
The ocean.
They stayed in the water to escape this.
This fire was estimated to be moving at 1 mile a minute. I mean, when that happens, you're in your car, 1 mile a minute, it's on you. It's just unbelievable. It's just so. And look, there is the possibility. There is, and I think it's a very slim possibility, but there is a possibility that the narrative we're being told is true. That it was just a combination of unfortunate, horrible things that happened, but it's just too many complications.
Okay, well, let's just say all of this was
for there not to be something.
Organic, a terrible tragedy, but totally organic event.
Yeah.
What is the holdup?
Right.
Helping these people.
Yeah, and let's go on and look at this. Maui Water is unsafe, even with filters. One of the lessons learned from fires in California. Look at that, by the way, right there. I mean, this is paradise. This was paradise.
Yes.
Experts are using strong language to warn Maui residents in Lahaina and Upper Kula not to filter their own tap water. Maui Water is unsafe, even with filters. One of the lessons learned from the fires in California by Brittany Peterson, Associated Press, the language is stark. People in torched areas of Maui should not try to filter their own drinking water because there is no way to make it safe. The message reached Ann Riller and her husband, who were eating yet another meal of frozen pizza. The couple feels incredibly lucky that their home survived the fires. And it says the number confirmed fatalities was raised to 114 people on Friday. When a neighborhood organization alerted them not to drink the water and to air out the house, even if they run the tap, the couple decided to eat off paper plates to avoid exposure, no washing dishes. So here's my question. I get that. When there are toxins in the air or when there's a fire, but why is it so toxic even a filter?
One of the things that's happened is when these fires happen, they sometimes can melt part of feeder lines or melt, some kind of connections. I think I read on down in this article or in another article, and they can get into the lines.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Let me read that here so people can know.
Contaminate the water in the actual lines.
Yeah, it says here they can remove some of it, but levels will be acutely and immediately toxic when they get through. The Maui fires damaged hundreds of drinking water pipes, resulting in the loss of pressure that can allow toxic chemicals along with metals and bacteria to enter lines.
We need to touch on this comment right here too, maybe lightly.
Yeah, I can see it. You can pull in contaminated or dirty water from the outside even when those lines are underground.
Also, it talks about benzene, where this is released into the water supply from part of the lines, I think. Either way, they don't want them drinking the water. Thank God they have the decency to tell them that, because it looks like supplies and help that is actually there is being withheld from these people, or they can't figure out how to distribute it properly. We're having so many breakdowns in common sense, if you ask me.
Well,
is it common sense or is this orchestrated?
Well, look, let me tell you something. Hawaii, I love Hawaii. I love all of our United States, but it is very liberal, and there are some, because where is the common sense? Why wouldn't you cancel this right here? When this happens,
I can't hardly even believe it.
I can't even believe this is coming out.
It was a good idea. Maybe.
I don't even know if it was a good idea, period. Because
before all of the tragedy.
But while we have families dealing with all that we're dealing, look at this headline.
Yeah. Bless God, we're not going to stop this function, though.
Hawaii announces plans for Ukraine Independence Day to raise money for Ukrainians while they're still digging up charred bodies of children in Maui.
Can you even believe what you're saying?
Billions of dollars were approved last week for the war in Ukraine before supplies were being distributed to our own citizens in Hawaii. Yeah. Look at this. I mean, how can you do this in Hawaii? How is this okay with anybody in Hawaii? Hawaii is holding a Ukraine Independence Day on August 26th. What's the day? 21st? 26th. At Magic Island to raise money and awareness for the war in Ukraine. Are we not aware of the war in Ukraine by now?
Yeah.
Are we have not given them enough money?
How much money have we sent?
Hundreds
of billions. We ought to be aware by now.
And of all places.
And equipment. And our men.
The Hawaiian government and officials think it's a good thing to raise money this coming week when this has happened? What is wrong with people?
How do these people feel when they look out their windows, all they see is destruction, and they can't get water to drink to their homes unless it's coming in a bottle, and FEMA and the Red Cross can't figure themselves out to get over here and properly and efficiently help these people.
Yeah.
But on the island, in these islands, we can have a celebration and a benefit and an event.
Wow.
For Ukraine.
I'm just going to fire this up here. This is a comment. I'm assuming Deborah, she's got good sources. I'm going what she said. A church on Oahu sent supplies and said supplies were being confiscated. Let me put it back up there again. Where'd it go? And it says that they had to hide the supplies in churches and schools. Listen, there's all kinds of stories that come out when these kind of things happen. But people that we trust and people that we follow are telling us some very shady things are happening and going on right now. One of the very shady things that's happening is the interesting thing about all the islands there in Hawaii, paradise, if you will. One of the least commercialized places in all the islands of Hawaii was Lahaina, Maui. It was basically original residents, Hawaiian native residents that were still holding on to their homes, and multiple billionaires, including people like Oprah and even some others and BlackRock and all of them have been trying to buy it to develop it. And they refused it and kept trying to make it this simple little place there on Maui. But now they're decimated. Yeah. And guess who's swooping in and trying to get it for pennies on a dollar?
We've all heard the stories that they're trying to make deals and make offers while these people are grieving.
Yeah.
They're trying to deal with their lost loved ones. They're trying to deal with the loss of their property, everything they own.
Yeah.
And all those around them.
Yeah.
At the same time.
And let's not forget that in July, just in July, the state of Hawaii passed a law making it easier to implement eminent domain. And in January, I don't know if you know this, Sandy, in January, there was a conference held in Hawaii declaring that Maui, the desire for Maui to be a smart island.
Yes, we've heard all of these crazy things. What is the claim about a book or some kind of report or document coming out just days before? I'm sorry. It's so many things. It's so much stuff. I have not had time to research some of these things out. But yes, we're hearing all of these stories. But
we've been telling you this was coming.
Yes.
Agenda 2030 is on next level, y'all.
Yes.
And part of Agenda 2030, remember, is 15-minute cities.
Right.
So if you're going to have a smart island, then you need to have control over the land there so that when you, and quite frankly, when you rebuild Lahaina, I guarantee you, whether they're able to do it or not, I guarantee the forces and the powers that be are thinking, what a great opportunity.
Sure.
To rebuild Lahaina as a smart city, as a 15-minute city, and a conglomerate of 15-minute cities. Think about this. For years, fire hazard experts, environmental fire hazard experts went to Maui officials, the governor of the state of Hawaii and the mayor up there in Lahaina in that area, and said, this is a fire hazard with these power lines in this dry, abandoned fields.
Dry area. Yep.
So we need to go underground. If they would have just simply taken their power lines and went underground, or even simply powered it down when they knew the storm was coming in, we wouldn't probably be where we're at right now. But you know what they did? Instead of putting the power lines underground, they declared they would be a green island. And they started implementing this religion. It is a religion. I'm sorry if that makes you mad. I love nature. I love it. I love what God has created. But the Bible says that at the last days, they'll worship the creation more than the creator. And I'm telling you, people are dead. Their families are dead because people chose a religion serving this green agenda without putting the protection of the citizens before that.
I'm glad that this is coming out about actual numbers from people that are working in the morgue, because I'm hearing for days and days, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There are so many more people who have perished. They're not talking about it. They're not telling the whole truth. And if it can happen there, something like this could happen somewhere else.
Well, let me just tell you about somewhere else. Because I came across a website today, and it's not a website that I didn't know about, but I didn't know there was a part of this website. NASA.gov. We all know what NASA is, okay? So NASA.gov, you can go there and search for FIRMS, firms. This is about fires. This is a fire map of the United States of Canada. This is a current, Sandy, this is mind-boggling. When you see this big picture, you are going to be shocked.
Yes.
This is a real-time satellite-tracked, NASA-tracked map on their website, nasa.gov, of active, current fires that can be seen from space.
It's really unbelievable.
This is unreal. Unreal, y'all. Look at that. Look at Canada. Canada is on fire.
It is. No wonder they had so much smoke all the way in New York City several weeks ago.
All the way up to Alaska. But look where the fire, there's some fires in Alaska, but look how it almost stops at the line. Right there on the Yukon. It just starts in Canada. Look at all these fires in Canada. And then, of course, these are the fires down in the United States. There's a couple in the South, out west, and then you go all the way out there. And
these things are
Hawaii.
Very suspect. And
that's insane.
You know, if you just pause and think about it for a minute, it makes you want to start asking questions. What is going on? What is in these areas? Why would you try to bend someone's will and bend them to your will? What are you trying to convince people of or get them to do? Or are you striking fear for a reason? It's weird.
That is just weird.
Weird things are going on.
I mean, how is it that we're supposedly in the driest and hottest in history, but there's a fire in Florida, the Panhandle, there's one in Texas, and then there's nothing at the entire United States, and they're all right here, and then Canada? What is going on?
Right.
Canada, where is your outrage?
Washington State, there were articles, at least starting on Saturday, maybe Friday, that there was a serious situation in Washington State. And you can see there on this map in the state of Washington.
Yeah, and Idaho. Look at that. Montana, Oregon, and, of course, California, Northern California, Southern California. It's just unbelievable. You remember we showed you the satellite photos when the Canadian fires first started, 17 fires fired up at the same time.
Which was very questionable, right?
Very questionable. What is going on? There are
Are we under attack? Is that what you're trying? Are you asking I'm not saying that as a statement. Are you asking the question, are we under attack?
I am.
Let's just go ahead and
I
say
am asking
here,
that question.
Don't expect the G-man to be coming to save you, because that's what these people in Hawaii are trying to say in so many words. Where's the help? No one's coming, and the help that does arrive in the form of supplies, at least, are being hidden from them, are being withheld from them. What?
Okay, well, let's just roll with that narrative there. What about this? From CBS Face the Nation, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Association, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell says emergency funds could be depleted within weeks.
There you go.
FEMA's disaster fund could dry up within weeks.
Right.
Which would delay the federal response to future natural disasters. The agency administrator warned Sunday. FEMA administrators said on Face the Nation this past Sunday that the agency is watching its disaster relief fund, quote, very closely ahead of hurricane season. Let your mind start working for you right now, okay? And that some recovery projects that are not life-saving measures could be delayed into the next fiscal year if fundings fall short. Quote, our estimates do still say that we may have a depletion of our fund. Now it's pushed into the middle of September. And as we get closer to that, that's a day-by-day monitoring of the situation. According to National Associated Atmospheric Administration, there were 15 weather or climate disasters events this year before August 8th, with each causing more than $1 billion in damage. The tally does not include the recent wildfires on Maui that decimated Lahaina, costing an estimated, at this time, probably going to go up dramatically, $6 billion in damage to the coastal city. And the peak of hurricane season is not until September 11th. President Biden has asked Congress earlier this month for $12 billion, watch this, to replenish the disaster fund. Congress is on recess until after Labor Day. The $12 billion, now I want you to listen to this, was going to be able to cover some of the immediate needs that were going to be needed through the rest of the fiscal year as we continue to see the increasingly severe weather events that dollar amounts may need to go up in the fiscal year. I want to ask you a question. If you knew, as the President of the United States, as a director of FEMA, that you were about to run out of money and you were not even to hurricane season yet, why in the world are we doing an executive order sending hundreds of millions more dollars to Ukraine?
Watch yourself.
Why are we sending money?
You're making too much sense now.
When FEMA tells us they knew they were about to run out of resources and hurricane season is not even kicked in yet.
Yep.
I'm telling you, it is sickening.
It is sickening.
But how in the world? There are still people that are watching us right now, and I hope not. I hope all of you have had your eyes open, but you know people, at least the very thing, you know people that legitimately think there's no way that our government would be doing this to us. That our government is our savior. It's coming to our help.
Yep.
Let me drink some coffee. It's on you now. I'm done.
That's a lot, okay? And we prayed. We prayed before.
We
prayed before tonight.
We prayed the Holy Ghost down over tonight. Y'all don't even know.
We're not waiting till the end. We're going to pray before.
We prayed a pre-cleansing prayer.
We prayed a pre-prayer.
We really did.
We were just getting rid of some things and getting in preparation, really not even thinking that we were going to come off this strong tonight. We'd already read through some, these first articles. We knew what was in them. But as we got in here and it started just, flowing out of us and we started breaking it down for you guys, we just got mad all over again.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's just ridiculous. What is going on?
Well, then, look out. Here comes Hillary. Yeah. So when I heard the hurricane that was hitting, of all places, Southern California, was named Hillary,
What else?
There was all kinds of memes went through my head, and I've seen a lot of them that obviously was in other people's heads that they made up. But it is serious because it is an actual serious hurricane named Hillary. But I really would have thought that Hillary would have stepped up and said,
before we get into
you can't
this
use my name.
article, I was telling some people last night, we got a brand new word out of this weather event.
Yeah.
Called the hurricane.
Now, what'd you say?
Hurricane. You combine hurricane and earthquake, and you get hurricane. And this is really what happened.
Is this a what was that channel that had the Sharknado?
No, this is
sci-fi.
not
This
from
is
sci-fi.
This ain't a sci-fi movie like Sharknado.
It's kind of like when you combined Ben Affleck and Jennifer, and you got Bennifer, and then you had Brad and Angelina, and you got Brad and Angelina. Remember that?
Yes.
But I'm just being funny. But seriously.
What are we?
Hey.
Landy?
Sure, why not?
Landy.
We're Larson.
Hey. Wait a minute, where'd you get son?
San.
Your name's
S-A-N, Larson.
Oh, okay. Larsan.
Okay.
Larsan.
So, hurricane, okay? This is a supposed event that happens when the pressure falls, as when, the pressure drops when you have a hurricane come in, and it somehow affects.
Okay, wait a minute. Time out.
Okay.
All right. I got to get my head where you're heading. You're saying that this term, hurricane,
Supposed, I don't know if there's any factual evidence to this, but this is what was being bantered about yesterday, that as this pressure is falling.
Look at Kangla.
What do you say? What?
I love you, Hutch.
Oh, my gosh. So,
Okay, so is the term coming from, did they believe, and this, of course, is a hypothesis, did they believe the hurricane caused the earthquake, or they just happened to hit at the same time?
Okay. Some people were surmising that this pressure change affected these fault lines.
The fault lines. Okay.
We literally had earthquakes yesterday morning in the area where the tropical storm was coming in.
Let's read this. Earthquakes hit Southern California as Tropical Storm Hillary brings historic flooding. Now, I saw, this is not in this article, I saw a video, and it was something like a sci-fi movie. There was driving rains, palm trees moving, and the pavement going up and down all at the same time. I was like, am I watching, what's that movie, 2012?
2012?
2012. Yeah, 2012, that movie. It was like, I was seeing a hurricane. I was seeing an earthquake. I was like, my God, all I need now is the pavement to open up and a volcano with magma shoot up.
Well, come on. You're talking southern.
We're in the last days, baby.
Last days. Hey, listen. Here's your sign, California.
People
who live in California.
Get right.
Get out now. Leave. Leave while you still can, okay?
And if you're going to stay there, get right with God. Just go ahead and get right with God because okay.
Because you're in Southern California. This is desert.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen when a tropical storm comes inland with inches and inches of rain?
All right, so a series of earthquakes rattled Southern California coinciding with the landfall of Tropical Storm Hillary, which brought record rainfall and flooding to the region. The earthquakes ranging from 2.5 to 5.1. Now, we heard they originally said it was, 6?
I read a comment of someone who said when it happened, it was 6 on the scale, but they quickly downgraded it to a 5.1.
And they're doing that a lot, by the way.
Oh, we've been hearing that for years.
Yeah, I mean,
at least 3 years.
Yeah, because they're trying to downplay the uptick.
And not just in California, worldwide.
Yeah. So 5.1 from 2.5 to 5.1 struck near Ajay. Is that how you said that?
Ojai.
In Ventura, California, while Hillary's unexpected. I'm sorry. I can't read.
You can't say that with a straight face.
Hillary without thinking about Hillary. Unexpected path caused intense downpours across Los Angeles and Ventura counties. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, at least a dozen quakes began in early Sunday afternoon. With the strongest registering in magnitude 5.1. 4 miles south of Ajay, the Ventura County office reported no immediate damage. The U.S. tsunami warning system also confirmed no threat of tsunami. Can you imagine if they would have sent out a tsunami threat while a hurricane and an earthquake is happening?
I mean, you must have woke up to thinking this is apocalyptic or something. But seriously, get out while you still can.
Yeah, get out while you can. I like what Pamela Baker says, waiting to buy oceanfront property in Arizona. That old country song may be coming to actual fulfillment in our lifetime, because who knows what might be happening to the West Coast, y'all. And real quick, I'm just going to throw this up here. We've already covered it, but I want to make sure that you see this where this happened, this 5.1 earthquake. And I'm not really familiar with this area. I do recognize Ventura. There you can see how close this was to the water, and how that could have triggered a tsunami in some situations.
She says, "Oh hi."
Oh hi.
Jennifer says, "Oh hi," and she lives in California.
Thank you.
I had literally been following people who were pronouncing it Ojai.
Thank you. See, that's the thing about the Big Picture Family Center. We got people from all over the world.
We got people implanted everywhere.
That's right. That's a good word. Is that what they said when they had the guy, the reporters that were embedded? That's embedded. We got embeds, Sandy. We got the big picture is embedded all around the world. So when the news breaks, we just look to the live chat.
If we can't have Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel, we have Jennifer.
We have, yes. I love my Big Picture family, y'all. Listen, y'all really are family to us. I mean, we'll read live chat and Sandy will say, "Yeah, you know her. She's from Australia. That's our friend from down there in New Zealand." And all. We talk like we had you over for supper last night because we really feel like that's it. And many of you have become partners with us, and we want to say thank you. I believe the crowd needs to go wild for all our partners.
I think I need a sip of this delicious coffee.
Get you some coffee, baby, because several new partners have just joined in the last couple of weeks. We got partners all over the world. We appreciate that so much. And then real quick, if you don't already follow us on Rumble, and I think we are live on Rumble tonight, we should be, make sure that you go to rumble.com/Larry Ragland and follow us because that's our backup channel. And I want to say real quick before we go to our next news article, I don't know if you knew this, Sandy, but I think it's very interesting, and this will come back in play when we get to this news article, not this next one, but down the line tonight when we start talking about the wah-wah. Making a comeback.
Is it that time again?
I think it's very interesting that this month, out of the blue, this platform, YT, I don't even want to say their name, all of a sudden, unexpectedly, updated their medical misinformation policy.
Wow.
And included things in there about the wah-wah.
Why are you just now telling me that?
Yep. I'm sorry. We do talk, y'all. We do talk. It's just so much going on sometimes we don't have time to talk about everything.
I have to make an appointment to have a conversation sometimes.
Have your people call my people, and we'll get together. Okay. So, but they updated their medical misinformation and put in there, y'all, listen to me. This is why it's so important to go to Rumble. They put in there right to remove content and channels without explanation. And you have to appeal it. So there may be a night that you show up and we're not there and you realize, I need to go to Rumble. So go there.
Miss an episode, you miss a lot.
You miss a lot. Oh, yeah. So speaking of that, this is a pretty big week that we've been talking about was coming up. We talk a lot about BRICS here. We have the G7. We've covered it. It's been a little while since we talked about it. But we knew this was coming because we broke this many weeks ago.
Yes, we've been talking about
And now here it is. Russia, China look to advance agendas at the BRICS Summit, which is happening this week. The BRIC Summit is happening this week in South Africa. Russia and China will look to gain more political and economic ground in the developing world at a summit in South Africa this week. Of course, you can see Vladimir Putin there speaking to the president of South Africa. There in Johannesburg, Russia and China will look to gain political and economic ground in the developing world at the summit in South Africa this week with an unexpected joint dose of anti-West grumbling from them may take on a sharper edge with a formal move, watch this, to bring Saudi Arabia closer.
Yeah, if anybody's wondering what that anti-West group he's talking about, yeah, look no farther. It's you and me.
Can we just digress and say, don't forget, Saudi Arabia are building smart cities.
They're building the line.
They're building the line. What's that one that's...
It's got a weird name.
It's got a weird name. Some of you, it'll be in the live chat. That's on the coast there, whatever. They're building places to basically to look like it's the dream to live there, but they're prisons for millions of people in the desert in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
Okay, and then now keep that in mind. Leaders from the BRICS economic bloc of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa will hold 3 days of meetings in Johannesburg, with Chinese Premier Xi Jinping's attendance underlying the diplomatic capital, his country. I see you laughing at me. I know. I know you want to correct me. Listen, to me, that's what his name is, Xi Jinping. Okay,
just say Xi.
Xi. But I want to say Jinping. Did I get it right that time? Jinping. It's Xi Jinping. I can see it right there.
Okay, but his first name is Xi.
Xi. Well, why has he got it with an X? Because I want to call it Z. I want to call him XI. Invested in the bloc long last decade and a bit as revenue in his ambitions, Russian President Vladimir Putin will appear on a video link after his travel to South Africa. Complicated, blah, 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 blah. The main summit on Wednesday and sideline meetings Tuesday and Thursday are expected to produce call for more cooperation between what they're calling the global South and the rising discontent over perceived Western domination of global institutions. Now, I'm going to go down this article here because I'm going to show you this. If Saudi Arabia were to enter BRICS, it will bring extraordinary importance to the grouping, said Tamiz Ahmad, India's former ambassador to Saudi Arabia. It says, nations ranging from Argentina to Algeria, Egypt, Iran, Indonesia, and the United Arab Emirates have all formally applied to join alongside the Saudis and are also possible new members. Now, Sandy, before you comment, I want to point out that I can't speak for every country, including South Africa and Brazil, but I believe they fall into this as well. But I know that Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, and every other one of those nations that I just listed that have sought to enter BRICS all have one thing in common. They're not all Muslim nations, but almost all of them are. But what they do have in common is a hatred for Israel.
Oh, boy.
So it's like BRICS is not just becoming a global power. It is a combination of nations and militaries from all over the world who have had an open resentment towards the nation of Israel.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. You know, let's just build a stage here to play out our hatred and fulfill our dreams. But certainly Mohammed bin Salman, from the prince from Saudi Arabia, has been positioning himself for a long time. He's, gaining in power and stature. They have so much money there. They're building this line city, Neom. The other cities that go along with it, the infrastructure, and how convenient that they're now hoping to become a part of BRICS while they've laid all this physical infrastructure in their country. And whether it's this time or the next go around, it's probably going to happen for them.
Yeah, and one of the things that they've proposed is the gold-backed digital currency of the BRICS dollar, or BRICS, whatever they want to call it. Down lower, a little bit lower in this article, in this ABC News article, it says, BRICS pushing a move away from the U.S. dollar in a regional trade in some parts of the world in the same way he sees the summit as a whole. Quote, none of this is the big sword that's going to slay the dollar. Listen to the tactics of how this is working. That's not the play. It's not one big sword wound. It's a lot of paper cuts. It won't kill the dollar, but it's definitely making the world a more complicated place. Listen to this quote. They don't need to defeat the dollar, and they don't need to defeat the G7. All they particularly want to do is raise an alternative to it. It's this much longer play.
You know, it makes me think of death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes.
But it's a long game again, right?
Yep.
Okay, we can't do it in one fell swoop, but when we all come together and erode the foundation a little bit here and a little bit there, well, guess what? It's eventually going to fall.
Absolutely. Now, let's remember, because there's so much going on, it's so easy to forget this.
I need a play card or something. I need something.
Because we're talking about fires, we're talking about hurricanes, we're talking about natural disasters. Then we talk about economies, and we talk about digital dollars and all of this.
Famines and disease.
And then you realize there is major wars happening and major wars are building. And I know what you think. I know what you think. You're just fear-mongering, this is just fear porn. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is us trying to wake you up to realize there is a reason why all these things are happening at the same time. Because Agenda 2030 is very, very real, and it's coming. And a lot of chaos has to happen before they can get what they want. And the two main superpowers outside of, I don't even know if we are still a superpower, but it's known around the world, the United States, is, of course, China. But look at this article from Ricky at End Time Headlines. Coalitions are beginning to form, and Russia and North Korea. Nobody's even talking about North Korea. And North Korea right now has been testing their missiles more than they ever have. Yeah. And they are making it very clear that they can carry nuclear weapons. It's very clear that North Korea.
So who was in the axis of evil?
Well, I don't want to. I mean, I can't remember all of them, but I know that it was, of course, Germany, Japan, and all of that in that war. But you know, it's interesting that Russia and China were not. Russia and China were invaded by those, but of course now they've flipped it because of communism. Okay, but let's look at this: Russia and North Korea. North Korea uniting with China. This week, the United States Navy's Carrier Strike Force Group 5, centered around the USS Ronald Reagan, has been steaming off the east coast of Taiwan. Be glad it's there. China's been throwing a diplomatic tantrum fiercer than usual because the Biden administration allowed William Laching, Taiwan's vice president, to make transit stops in New York and San Francisco. Beijing, in response, promised, quote, resolute and forceful measures. There have been numerous Chinese air and naval provocations near the embattled island republic in the last few days. As soon as Lai arrived in New York, and the Chinese Foreign Ministry called Taiwan, quote, the core of the core interest in China. Will China go to war soon? And if war comes, will it embroil the world's great powers? China's regime has already declared a people's war against America and has been waging such a struggle in its unrestricted warfare tactics. And Sandy, I want to tell you something, and I want to tell our big picture audience something here. And, of course, we're live, so I'm very careful what I'm saying. Good to see Ricky in the headlines.
Yes, it is.
Appreciate you.
Great to see you.
I want to throw you up there, Ricky. We thank God for all that you do for the body of Christ.
He's been at it for so many years, fighting this good fight.
Fighting the good fight, paving the way for people like us.
Yes, he has.
So, as many of you know, I did a video that's one of the most watched videos we've had so far called We Will Be at War with China by 2024. And it was told to me by a very trustworthy, anonymous confidant, I would say that. Well, I have connections with this anonymous person.
Are you about to say something you haven't told me yet?
I am. And it's nothing.
Why do you do this?
It's nothing big breaking, but I did reach out to this person, and I said, "Is there any updates that you need to tell me that I need to convey?" And the response from this individual was, "Not really." He said, and I said, "Okay. Has anything changed since we talked to change your opinion or the facts on the ground that we are planning for war with China in 2024? He said, absolutely nothing has changed. It is 100% still the same. This is what was told to me, though, is that China has made the decision. Listen to me, America and the world. China has made the decision to go dormant and quiet and only make very small veiled threats. And they are holding back, waiting for all that they want to do once America gets involved in the election cycle. And more than likely, Donald Trump will be the appointed Republican nominee. And then you got all that comes with that, all the hatred and all the MAGA people and all this. And then, of course, there's who knows if Biden's going to make it till then. But whoever it ends up being, all that America will care about is the donkey and the elephant. And when that happens, that is when they're going to move into Taiwan. That was what was told to me. Wow. That is still believed by the military intelligence. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, hurricanes, fires, these are horrible tragedies. But can you imagine dealing with all of this, dealing with the World Economic Forum and all the things that they're going to be trying to implement on their way to 2030, the green agenda and all of that happening while our sons and daughters are in military conflict war with China, possibly North Korea, and also Russia. I'm telling you, y'all, you better know Jesus.
So serious.
It is serious.
Can you imagine the last election cycle, how loud and crazy things got?
Yeah.
And if we're about to endure that again, if these weather events and all the other things we're dealing with continue and even ramp up, it's just going to be a totally chaotic.
It is.
Life in reality, right?
It is. And how is this guy still alive? Henry Kissinger? I mean,
I was just thinking the same thing.
I'm not wanting him to die.
When does he go out to pasture? I mean, my goodness.
I mean, it sounds like we're being disrespectful, but the man is 100 years old. He is literally 100.
He's still pulling strings and making decisions and having meetings.
He just flew to China and had a personal meeting with Xi. Z. Somebody just said it's pronounced Z, and other people saying G. I'm going to call him E. But what about a hot war, says war between China and the United States over Taiwan, as Henry Kissinger said in early June to Bloomberg News Organization, is probable. Henry Kissinger is telling us probable. China can still be deterred. The president of the USS Ronald Reagan is almost certainly giving the Chinese military second thoughts. But one thing looks increasingly likely. If there is a war, Russia and North Korea will fight alongside China. The world is dividing into camps. My God. This is where our world is going. Who knows how long we'll have YouTube? Who knows? Who knows? That's why you got to like. That's why you got to subscribe. That's why you got to share. That's why we got to build this audience as fast as we can. That's why you got to be back here every Monday night. If you just happen to follow it, every Monday night at 7 o'clock, we're here. And every Wednesday night, I'm breaking down the Word of God verse by verse, our Bible study. You need to be a part of that. And then every Thursday night is the Kingdom Intelligence Report. Now, I do have something to tell you. Unfortunately, Pastor Mark is not going to be able to be with us that we wanted to have him. He is all in with us, but he reached out to me this week and told me that he did have a medical situation that came up where he had to be admitted, and he's got, he's doing fine. But he said, "Hey, can we do this?" So what we're going to do is Sandy and I are going to be here Thursday night, and we're gonna do a show. And then as soon as I can get that recorded with Pastor Mark, it may not fall on a Thursday night, but I'm gonna put it up as quick as I can. Right. And then he's committed that he'll be with us. I'm laughing because I looked down at Deborah. It says it's G equals she. So is that his pronoun? That's good. So Pastor Mark will be with us then. So moving on, baby. Moving on. We got a lot of ground to cover. Yeah. But we do want to stay a little bit on the war front there because this is important. This is sort of an opinion piece here that I'm just going to hit quickly, and then I'm going to talk about the war in Ukraine because we can't forget there's a major war going on in Ukraine and could possibly spill into the entire Europe region. But the next major war is reportedly about to begin, and a D-Day has already been chosen. It's like I said, this is an opinion piece, but then he goes down and quotes CNN. He says, a group of nations in Western Africa known as the ECOWAS is prepared to invade Niger. Now, a lot of things we hadn't talked about here is Niger.
Right.
Niger has some serious things going on with it. There was a coup that happened there in Niger, and there are things that are happening that are setting up the front of war in the continent of Africa as well. It's almost like all around the world, war drums are just, people are feeling empowered to overthrow governments. Now it says, preparing to invade Niger with the approval of the EU and the Biden administration. CNN is reporting that there is a D-Day that has already been chosen. The West African Regional Bloc says it has chosen an undisclosed D-Day for a possible military intervention to restore Niger's democratically elected president following last month's coup. The Commissioner of Political Affairs, Peace and Safety and Economic Community of West African States said that military forces are, quote, ready to go anytime the order is given for military intervention in Niger. The D-Day is decided, which we're not going to disclose, told journalists after the two-day meeting in the West African Defense Chiefs Ghanaian capital of Accra. The commissioner said the bloc decided that the coup in Niger is one coup too many. We're putting a stop to it at this time. So there's so much stuff going on the war front. You run out of time.
We're coming to straighten you all out. We're not going to tell you exactly when, but just know it's coming. So don't do anything in retaliation. Don't be getting ready to retaliate. What?
What in the world? What in the world? I
just
heard,
do what you're going to do and don't broadcast it.
Listen, I got to say this, y'all. And it ain't because I'm defending my wife and defending us, but I read a comment, and I got to stop reading comments sometimes because, you haters going to hate. But somebody said, Wyatt, love your show, but why does your wife have to laugh at everything? You know what? She don't laugh at everything, but it ain't because she's making fun of it.
No.
It's literally because sometimes you just have to respond with this overwhelming laugh to keep from crying, and it's not even really a laugh. It's just, I can't even believe what I'm reading response.
Yes.
We are not making fun of this.
No.
But we're trying to make it digestible.
Yes. Digestible.
Digestible.
We can't sit here and just pour out this very serious and devastating news for 2 hours without having some kind of break.
Absolutely.
I literally can't. I'm not going to be able to do that.
No, we're not going to be able to do that. No. And like I said, you be you, and we're going to be us. But I just want y'all to know that, first of all, we enjoy doing this, and we enjoy being with you. We don't enjoy what we're reading a lot of the time.
No, and it's tough sometimes.
We enjoy knowing that God is using us to help you know this information.
But we don't want to just sit here and be serious and devastating. We want to break it up a little bit so that we can all digest this together.
Absolutely. Digest, that's the word we're talking about. Digest together. Yeah. Look, I don't want to break it down too much, but we know what happens in digestion. Okay, so you bring stuff in, you process it, you take out what you need that can be beneficial.
Okay. That's your Sunday job.
And then you got to get rid of.
That's your Sunday job. Let's focus on this. That sounds like a sermon.
Yeah. But the good thing about it is, Sandy, we have the greatest military in the world, full of weapons. We got all the weapons we need. Oh, wait a minute, we don't. As Ukraine flies through artillery rounds, the United States is racing to keep up. Washington has sent Kiev millions of munitions, but restocking the arsenal and building new production lines remains a problem here at home. Wow. The Biden administration's sprint to supply Ukraine with weapons central to its military success against Russia has yielded a promising acceleration of arms production, you think, including the standard NATO artillery round, output of which is expected to soon reach double its pre-war U.S. rate at 14,000 a month. The stakes in the United States' effort to shake up a Scalaric defense acquisition system are particularly high, and Kiev tries to claw back territory from Russian control, blah, blah, blah. But I want to show you this part right here. This blew my mind. The industry experts warn of major challenges in sustaining an elevated output of arms and equipment needed not just to aid Ukraine, but to ensure the United States' own security in potential future conflicts with Russia and China. Those include overcoming scarcity of key inputs, including TNT, and maintaining expanded capacity amid fluctuating budgets and uncertainty of future military needs. Sandy, this article goes on to reveal something that I had never heard. If I can find it, says, I'm just going to look for it, but if I can't find it, I'm going to tell you what it says. It says that in America, I don't know when it was, we banned the creation of TNT. We do not make TNT in America anymore. I'm going to find this part here, and it may be in the next article. They've replaced it with a safer material. What? Yes. I'm going to find it because I'm telling you, it's unreal. It's unreal. This is a long article. So you talk while I'm looking for this.
Okay, well, this is kind of weird and crazy to me. I had not heard that. I did not realize that. I would be anxious to get down to the facts.
I'm going to find it. Keep talking.
And it's just unbelievable. I mean, just the things surrounding the Ukraine war are unending. They just go on and on and on. The new revelations, the hypocrisy of the decisions that are being made and the things that we do. So now we've unearthed information about something that's been going on in the production.
Oh, there it is. I found it.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at this. Okay.
Okay.
Restocking the U.S. arsenal will require finding basic weapons-making materials, experts say, a problem complicated by a global scarcity of chemicals and explosives. This is the Washington Post, this article is. Because the United States no longer produces TNT and has since moved to a substitute called IMX, an explosive that provides a power with less risk of accidental detonation.
Wow. If anybody out there knew this already, if you were aware of this, will you chime in and let us know? I mean, this is not something I would seek to explore, to talk about, in my regular life, but finding it out is like, what?
We need to talk to? We need to talk to Jacob. Don't he blow up things
I think
for a living?
So.
Jacob, if you're watching, you blow up things for a living. Yeah, I see that they've got this product called IMX, and I'm sure that it's deadly. But here we are in the article saying that one of the things that's complicating the replenishing of the weapons is apparently some of those weapons still need TNT. And just like everything else, when we just offshore everything and we send money to other nations, and all of a sudden our own nation needs something, we can't get it.
Okay, we're all about doing things safer. And safety as a rule of thumb. Okay, that's great. But what have we done to ourselves?
What have we done?
We tied our own hands? I don't know. It just seems like we are making decisions that are not good decisions in a lot of areas.
Well, one more thing on Niger that I failed to mention is that in the middle of a war that's going on with Ukraine, we talked a lot about the Wagner group. That is the group of basically hitmen, former death row murder convicts that Putin let out of jail to do his dirty work. And they're not just in Ukraine, they're in nations all over the world. Look at this article here. Russian transport jet. You can see the tail right there. Russian transport jet arrives in Mali, which is part of Niger, and the Wagner Group forces deploying to Niger. Excuse me, not part of Niger, but getting ready. A Russian plane has landed in Bamako Airport, Mali, carrying hundreds of Wagner private military company to allegedly picked up from Syria. Wagner is on its way to Niger to protect that country from outside forces, which we just read the outside forces were sanctioned by the EU and the Biden administration. So the outside forces is the EU and America. So you have Wagner getting ready to fight any kind of forces coming from America or the European Union. Wagner PMC has recruited thousands of veterans from the Syrian civil war, mostly men who fought on behalf of the Syrian government to defeat ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and FSA. These men have incredible combat experience. And it says, upon arriving, the Wagner Group reportedly told the new Niger administration never to worry about any foreign army on Niger soil, and specifically assured the leadership that the Wagner Group will take on Americans head on if they ever dare to get involved in the conflict or try to deploy their drones.
Oh, my goodness.
This is happening around the world.
Yes.
I'm reporting on real events.
Yeah.
Lord, have mercy. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you. Molly says she recommends our show to people all the time. And I love telling them that you two are the only people who know how to talk about all these disturbing things in such a way that we can laugh. Thank you, Molly.
That's sweet.
That's sweet.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do.
I'm not sure if we're connecting and being successful all the time, but
Yep.
hang in there with us. We're going to do this together, right?
Yep. And then one quick thing, and then we'll move on from the war front. You know, the Wagner Group was sent to Belarus,
Right.
which, of course, is pro-Russian to defend Belarus. The United States is now warning any American citizens in Belarus to leave the country immediately. Well, we know why. They always tell you get out of the country immediately when you realize that it's falling, it's crumbling, or there's an imminent war coming there as well.
Or you're part of a group that nobody likes.
Notice,
and you're in danger.
Notice where Belarus is and the arrows that are pointing. What are they pointing towards? Poland. We've already seen Russian forces in Belarus compiling on the Poland border. And let's remember, big picture, why that is very, very important, because Poland would trigger the NATO response. So the Lithuanian government on August 18th closed 2 border crossings with Belarus. And it says the actions that were given from our United States government said do not travel to Belarus due to authorities' continuing facilitation of Russia's unprovoked attack of Ukraine. U.S. citizens in Belarus should depart immediately. Consider departing via the remaining border crossings with Lithuania and Latvia or by plane. U.S. citizens are not permitted to enter Poland over land from Belarus. Do not travel to Russia or to Ukraine. And this is a copy of the actual U.S. Embassy alert. So they're getting ready for something there while China's getting ready to invade.
Hopefully those folks will take heed to this warning. Get out now.
Get out now.
Let's don't become, I know Afghanistan.
Oh, my goodness.
That I think that there were some things that haven't come forth. Yeah. Certainly in the aftermath, things that could have been done were not done to rescue people, to help people. But maybe they will think about the Afghanistan situation. It hasn't been that long since that happened. And get out now. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Do not wait.
Well, our economy here in the country, in America, is it's happening all around the world. This is a global recession that's not coming. It's here. And so just one quick economy note before we move into some other things that I thought was very interesting in a negative way. U.S. banks in America suffered 18.9 billion dollars in losses as J.P. Morgan, Chase, and Capital One take big hits from bad loans. It's like 2008 all over again.
Go back up. This is JP Morgan, Chase. Okay, these are three of the biggest.
Yeah. Well, the article goes on and cites our bank as well. It says that America's biggest banks are taking hits on their bottom line as soaring interest rates cause billions of dollars in loans to fall apart. JP Morgan, Chase, Capital One, and others lost a combined $18.9 billion in the second quarter due to soured loans. The banks are facing charge-offs or losses on loans that have now been designated as unrecoverable at a 17% higher rate than the previous 3 months. This is how fast it's escalating. 3 months, and a 75% higher rate than last year. That is unreal.
This is not maintainable.
Nope. Look at that.
We can't go on like this.
These are the charge-offs. Look at Capital One. My goodness, Capital One is beating them all. But then, we see our bank in there. There's Bank of America, Citi, Truist. I don't know what that is. PNC. I'm very familiar with that. Morgan Stanley. So in an earnings call last month, Capital One CEO Richard Fairbanks said that the U.S. is coming out of an unprecedented credit environment that favored borrowers, and that some type of consequence was inevitable. We have to remember that the credit performance we saw over the past 3 years was unprecedented. So we believe there's some catching up that happens on the other side of that, especially for consumers who might otherwise have charged off for the past 3 years. I'm telling you, we didn't learn anything from 2008. And then you had the pandemic and all this that hit. We got all the stimulus checks, and everybody's just started going out and building things and borrowing money. And now the economy is just absolutely tanking, and it's unfortunate. The homeless rate is skyrocketing in our country and around the world because people cannot afford their house payments. They cannot afford to stay in those houses. It just breaks my heart.
What about all this commercial real estate, all these empty buildings we keep hearing about that is going to be apocalyptic for just that sector, let alone, the private housing market? It's very serious.
It's very serious. And then, of course, the wah has returned.
The wah is back.
Hey, and shout out to Ricky. I was watching your show the other day, and I heard you shout out to us and called it the wah. And so,
Ricky, did you say wah?
Come on, join the wah. Right. He calls it the ouchie and the wah every once in a while. So he gave us a shout out.
Thanks, Ricky.
I felt my guy, you've got hit the big time when end time headlines.
Hey, is pretty big.
That is pretty big.
It's
I'm
actually
serious.
huge.
I'm serious. I was like, wow. End-time headlines just shouted out the wah. Next thing you know, you're going to hear some big name say the wah. And I'm going to have to write them a cease and desist letter. I got the copyright. I got the shirt. Actually, I don't. I'm just kidding. I don't. I'm just kidding. NBC News now reports, and with this new policy, I'm going to wah myself all the way through the night.
You do it, babe.
Wah is making a comeback. There it is. You see the picture of the wah. I think I can say this one because I'm gonna play. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Lester Holt.
Oh, Lester Holt. He's been around a while. So this was this past week. This was on Twitter, August 18th. That's just a couple of days ago. This was on NBC Nightly News.
COVID is making a comeback this summer, so many of us would like to leave it in the past, but cases are once again on the rise. So when will new booster shots roll out? Ann Thompson,
that's what I'm wondering.
CDC director.
This summer, most Americans left COVID in the past, gathering together once again mask-free. But tonight, signs of a COVID resurgence. Across the country, COVID hospitalizations jumped more than 14% in the most recent week, but far lower than pandemic levels. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel.
What's behind this uptick in COVID that we're seeing?
The main driver of this is a variant that's relatively newer to the scene, EG5. It's easier to give and get, so that makes it kind of easier to pass along.
It's been almost a year since the last COVID booster came out. CDC Director Dr. Mandy Cohen.
The new COVID booster is expected to be approved by the FDA, and then we will make recommendations from the CDC probably by the second or third week of September.
Will it protect against this new strain?
Yes. The booster is tailored to what we are seeing circulating now.
Critics say the federal government is behind once again. People knew there was going to be a COVID resurgence. So why don't we have a booster today? Why do we have to wait until next month?
The way we go about doing our, just like we do with our flu shots, right? We make sure that we're looking at the ways in which the virus changed. They look at and evaluate that. The FDA is doing its work. We likely will see this as an annual COVID shot, just like the flu shot.
Just in time for fall, when we'll also face RSV.
Can you take the flu shot, the COVID booster, and the RSV vaccine all at once?
So for flu and COVID, yes. RSV, again, is only available for older adults. That's one where I'd say talk to your doctor about what's right for you.
So until the new COVID booster comes, get prepared. Stock up on at-home tests. They do cover that new strain. Keep a mask handy in case you're in a crowded place. And most of all, get your shots, COVID, flu, and RSV, all by Halloween to give yourself your best chance of staying healthy.
A reminder that COVID never went away.
Why did she say that?
I think that's trying to give us a timeline. Wait a minute. Let's review what she just said. She said,
what is it, part of the ritual? What are you saying, lady?
So this lady just told Lester Holt, reminder, make sure you stock up on tests, the WAN test. Make sure you got plenty of masks in case you have to go out in public. And make sure, and most importantly, that you get all of your shots for all of the WANs, and all of the things are going to all come at one time. And you get all your boosters and all of that by Halloween.
As a part of your celebration, right?
Well,
I'm going to recommend that you do none of those things.
Well, hey, but we do not offer medical advice on the big picture.
Not at all.
For the record, we do not offer medical advice on the big picture. I want to make that clear. We do not offer medical advice on the big picture. Did you hear me, YouTube? Did you hear me? I'm only reading news articles, YouTube. Algorithm, AI. Uncle Jimmy, are you out there?
Where is he?
Uncle Jimmy, are you listening? But, you know, we feel good that we've got a president that's going to give us good advice, and the Biden administration is now urging all Americans, officially, already, go get a booster shot now. There he is. There he is getting his shot. Look at him. The picture of bravery. All Americans will be urged by the Biden administration to get a WAN booster shot this autumn ahead of what it claims is a new wave of infections.
So she called this EG5. I've seen it called Eris.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah. But of course, it's XBB 1.5. There's old Ouchie Fauci.
Ouchie Fauci. I love it.
Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Ouchie Fauci said Americans may very well require booster shots to maintain protection against the WAN. Yeah. Several outside experts are quietly urging the Biden administration to scale back its WAN booster shot campaign. Why? Because they think that's going to hurt them politically. Blah, blah, blah. Sandy, get ready. Because what's happening is we have an election coming.
Yeah.
And
it's about to hit like a wave or like a...
But here's my prediction. Not only is the WAN going to come back, and it's going to be on the news, and you're going to start hearing mandates, which, by the way, several colleges came out this week and reinstituted mask mandates.
Really?
This week.
I had not seen or heard that.
This
My
week.
Goodness.
Several hospitals have as well. And your local hospital may have. They've already reinstituted mask mandates. All right, now watch this. So watch what's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to sound like Dr. Doom and Gloom, but listen to this. You got all the wars happening. You got all the things that are going. And remember, these key dictators are saying we're waiting to launch attacks until around the election. Okay? So at the same time around the election, you've got them already preparing us Get your wah-wah, because the wah-wah is on its way back. And then we're going to have the combination of all three of the wah-wahs hitting together. Then, what was the first thing that came out of the mouth of the governor of Hawaii when the fires, the first press conference they had? The mayor of Lahaina and whatever they call it, the mayor of Maui or whatever, it was over the island, and the governor of Hawaii, the first thing that came out of their mouth was, without a doubt, climate change is here. So they blamed the fires on climate change. So we know that the World Economic Forum at Davos last year, we covered it in the fall of last year. Yep. This is what they said. Prepare for the next lockdowns. For the next lockdowns will be because of the emergency of the climate.
Yeah, we've been hearing rumblings of that.
So what we're hearing right now from multiple sources, that climate change is going to be the nail in the coffin, if you will, and I hate to use that term, but to push people beyond the wah-wah lockdowns, because a lot of people are against that. They're like, I'm not doing that again. But they're going to also push into that narrative this. Is climate change next excuse for not returning to a workplace? Because this is the mindset. It's not just the lockdown. We have an entire generation just like that no longer believes they need to go to work. They cannot fathom going to work. Now watch this. Activists have often invoked climate change to justify proposals like eating the bugs or stopping cow burps or poots. But will it now be used to keep workers from returning to the office? That's the question, championed in a recent news article entitled, quote, "Dirty Downside of Return to the Office, Push to End Work from Home Could Make for a Climate Crisis." Business Insider interviewed a woman under the alias Rachel who told the outlet a job she voluntarily took is forcing her to appear in office rather than work remotely. Listen to the mindset of this generation. This, quote, environmental impact on her new routine has made her resentful. The job requires her commute to its Silver Spring, Maryland office at least 2 days a week. Bless her heart, she got to go into work 2 days a week.
2 whole days a week?
2 days a week.
What are they thinking?
30 to 40 minutes each way. Quote, I get kind of furious when I drive to work and see the road choked with traffic, incredibly harmful to the environment, and that offices generate so much waste like paper and plastic cups and utensils. He goes on to describe that the commuting cost and other negative environmental consequences often attributed to in-office work. We go in because our CEO likes to have people to talk to.
Yeah, I'm sure he's enjoying those conversations at the water cooler with you, lady.
Yeah, exactly. But it's shocking that this isn't a part of the conversation, especially at companies that claim to care about sustainability. It's a missed opportunity to explore an employer's colossal influence on our behavior. And then, of course, that's...
I didn't see any quote about her concern about their ESG score.
Oh, no. She was saying, you say you have a great ESG score, then quit making me come into work because you're a hypocrite, because you're making me burn fossil fuels. But now that's the mentality of the worker. Well, here's how the lockdown is going to work for a lot of people, is you have that mentality of the worker that don't want to go back into work. And Biden is now facing calls to declare a climate emergency as he heads to Maui. Climate groups and many of the president's allies in Congress urge him to invoke emergency powers to mitigate environmental threats. As President Joe Biden prepares to visit Maui, the Hawaiian island devastated by the deadliest wildfire in U.S. modern history, Lawmakers and climate groups are begging the White House to do more to prevent future climate-related disasters, which is code for saying this is a climate disaster. Their argument, if the latest environmental catastrophe won't spur the president into action, what will? The fires likely sparked by the island's electric utility and heightened by climate change impacts, swept through the Pacific Paradise last week, killing at least 110 people, leaving their famed town of Lahaina smoldering in ruins. As survivors search for missing family members, climate activists and members of Congress are urging Biden to declare a national emergency over climate. Now, let me tell you what that means. If they declare a climate emergency, then there's been so much done since the last lockdown.
Yes.
And they realized they could get away with so much. They're going to take it even further.
I think so.
And so it's not going to be, okay, think about what I'm saying here. Listen to me for a minute. The last lockdown was to stay away from a wham-wham that was floating around, supposedly. This one, Sandy, will be an emergency saying there is nowhere you can go to avoid this. Because it's the air, it's the environment. So before you could go to Lowe's and build a deck, remember when some things got called essential and some things were non-essential?
Absolutely.
You got labeled non-essential, but Lowe's and Walmart and the package store selling the alcohol and the strip clubs.
I was about to say the strip club, yeah.
They were all essential for the mental
Essential.
well-being. But churches got shut down. Many of your jobs got shut down. Going to a restaurant with your family, doing anything, going to the beach, going to the park to try to have some kind of semblance of a life got shut down. But when you have a climate shutdown, then they're going to come back and say, well, you can't even get out of your house because the heat is so overwhelming.
But, you know, a lot of effort was put into making changes in the corporate world and mentally preparing us as the consumer. Look how easy it is to have almost anything delivered to your home. You know, some people no longer go to the store for their groceries.
That's right.
You don't have to go to the department store to get things, or even Lowe's. It's common now to have Lowe's delivery, Home Depot delivery, Walmart delivery, Kroger grocery delivery. Anything you can imagine from Amazon delivered to your home. We are going to be experiencing our local bank branch closing. Well, lucky for them, they've, created some new processes as far as if you need to deposit a check into your account, just take out your phone, take a picture of it.
Right.
All different kinds of processes and things to help you be more comfortable not leaving your home, but knowing that you can still be taken care of. Grubhub will bring your McDonald's combo to you, and so on and so forth. So we have been mentally prepared, and if you want to say programmed, not fully, but it's certainly on its way.
And I'm going to tell you what's breaking my heart. I'm scanning over here, and we'll see this in depth when the show is over, how many people are saying they lost their jobs, they lost their businesses. Salons shutting down. 11 years a salon shut down because California would not let them have printing presses shut down. Well, let me tell you, they're what they didn't shut down before, they're coming after this because they want to confide you to a little area. Because the solution is going to be, okay, look, I know you didn't want to do this, but watch how convenient this is. We can make sure you have a pharmacy. We can make sure you have a doctor. We can make sure you have a grocery store. We can make sure you have a school. We can make sure you'll have everything you need within a 15-minute bike ride or walk, everything right here. And even in the midst of all this climate mess, you'll still be protected because everything will be right here. There's going to be millions of people saying, okay, let's do it. They're going to do it. They are. If you don't believe that, look at the thousands of people that are lining up to scan in an orb, to get $2 a day. Yes. The article goes on to say, that's the urgency that we're under. So if there was ever a moment to declare a climate emergency. It's right now.
So will this be the first time he goes to Maui? Because I heard he was waiting for things to calm down so that he doesn't show up at a time that locks, areas down so people can't move and continue their relief efforts. So finally, when he gets to go to Maui, this is what he's going to be doing.
This is what he's going to be doing.
This is what he's spending his time and energy doing.
Yep. That's our world that we're living in right now. That's our world we're living in. I'm going to skip over this next one, and I'm going to go to this because this is just, they're saying the quiet things out loud, y'all. They're like running out of time to be quiet and sneaky. World Economic Advisor, United Kingdom population collapse is a good thing, is what he says. An advisor to the Great Wawa, and believe it or not, you have to be careful saying that as well.
Okay, that's on the list.
That's on the list now. Okay. It will at the very least get you with one of those little blue Wikipedia things at the bottom trying to tell everybody that it's a global conspiracy to believe, a conspiracy theory to believe that this is really a bad thing.
Let's just touch on something that's on my mind right now.
Okay.
We haven't really seen or heard directly from him for a minute.
Schwab? Yeah, it's been a while.
And this thing kind of moves in waves and in cycles, right? So we probably should go ahead and mentally prepare ourselves that he's going to bounce back onto the scene in a big way anytime now because he's taken his little leave for a while and it's been quiet over there at the ranch. So I'm getting ready to see him again.
I do believe that's going to happen, but there are some people wondering if he's even still here with us. But I think he is.
Well, he is in his 80s, but he looked pretty healthy and pretty determined to see that agenda come to pass.
He's probably getting quite a few things put in IVs, is all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. An advisor to the Great Wawa pushing the World Economic Forum has claimed the collapse of Britain's birth rate is a good thing for the planet as it reduces consumption amongst wealthier nations. Professor Sarah Harper, a former advisor to the British government and founder and director of the Oxford Institute of Population Aging. Wow. What a goal in life to found something like that. Who sits on the, quote, Global Agenda Council of Aging Societies of the World Economic Forum, argues the West's declining birth rates are beneficial to the planet as the, quote, general overconsumption that we have at the moment. I think it's a good thing that the high-income, high-consuming countries of the world are reducing the number of children that they're having. I'm quite positive about that. We will see smaller populations in high-income countries going forward. It's just going to be a trend of the 21st century, and that's actually good. The international fertility rate has dropped significantly since the 1950s, in which birth rates per woman were 5, compared to just 2.3 in 2021, according to the United Nations Population Fund. A number of nations are beginning to take action to counter the trend, including China, which is offering state-backed financial assistance. Can you believe this? For IVF treatment, the same country
What a turnaround.
It was a law, Sandy, that it was against the law.
One child per couple.
One child.
How many children?
Yes.
Lives were snuffed out.
Yes.
Because of that.
Yeah.
How many little baby girls were done away with?
Yep.
Because they wanted to have a son. So much so that there's a shortage of women.
Yep.
In China.
Yes, there is. There is. and I'm going to tell you something. Population control, that's another thing that'll get you flagged, but I'm going to say it, is reduction is this. You think about it. That's what abortion is. That's what we're talking about in China was. Yeah. And that is also one of the founding principles, core principles from the devil for the alphabet community and the same-sex unions. Because we understand, you can call it love all you want to, but the reality is this, they cannot have children. And they can surrogate and all that kind of stuff. They can't have children. So the more and more, and our population of the LGBTQ and all that is just skyrocketing. And the more it's skyrocketing, the less children are being born. And every time a child is not born, that's a potential world changer that's not here. That's a potential president. That's a potential doctor, lawyer, whatever. There's no telling what they could be, that those lives that are lost. That is what all of this perverted agenda is to stop the children.
Wow.
And think about it. Right before the first covenant was made, Moses, he didn't know it. They didn't really know it, but God knew that the one that would get the commandments coming down from the mountain was Moses. And what happened when he was a baby? They tried to kill all the babies. And when Jesus was going to be the one that started the new covenant, he came as a form of a baby, what did the people in the governments try to do? Kill the babies. Because I'm telling you, right before something big happens, the enemy says we got to kill the babies. And I'm telling you, that's why this is such a surge, because I believe this is it. I believe this is it, Sandy. I really do.
My goodness.
It's deep. It's deep, but I believe it is.
Deep.
I believe it is. Well, there he is. There's old Schwab right there. Eats the bug Schwab, and the mayor of New York City. 14 United States cities sign a World Economic Forum treaty to ban meat, dairy, and private cars by
ding, ding, ding.
2030.
Okay, stop. What? They're literally signing. Okay, go back to the top. We got to say that again.
Read it.
14 U.S. cities signed WEF treaty to ban meat, dairy, private cars by 2030. They're
Yeah.
I can't. What?
Yeah, 14 American cities.
They're actually doing this.
Yeah. Or at least they're thinking they're going to. 14 American cities. Try that in a small town. Well, these are actually big towns. By the way, I've never heard anything but just a little 2-line of that song. I've never heard the whole song, but because I don't listen to it. But 14 American cities have signed a World Economic Forum treaty that legally compels them to ban meat, dairy, and private car ownerships by the year 2030. Okay, it says they formed a coalition called the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group. The C40 has established a target to meet the WEF's radical depopulation goals by the year 2030. The C40 cities have agreed that their residents will be forced to comply with the following list of unconstitutional rules. 0 meat consumption. 0 dairy consumption. 3 new clothing items per person per year. 0 private vehicles owned.
That may be worse than no meat or dairy. What in the world?
Yep. And 1 short haul return flight every 3 years per person.
We need to contact our friend, the councilman.
Yeah, Councilman Ephraim, if you're watching.
If you're out there, can you please?
Yeah, if you're Councilman, he's a former city councilman from New York City. The C40 cities' dystopian goals can be found in the, quote, Future of Urban Consumption in a 1.5 degrees Celsius World Report. The report was published in 2019 and re-emphasized in 2023. The organization is headed and largely funded by Democrat billionaire Michael Bloomberg. Nearly 100 cities across the world make up the organization. The American city members of C40 include Austin, Boston, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, New Orleans, New York City, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Portland, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Seattle.
Most places that I don't want to go.
Right.
I have been to Washington,
Here's the one
D.C.
that makes me laugh right here. You think them politicians ain't going to eat meat? Come on, somebody. Media coverage of C40 cities' goals have been relatively sparse. However, the few media personalities and news outlets who have discussed it have reportedly been heavily attacked by the corporate fact checkers. And it goes on to talk about, says, likely included in the report is a liability in the case of a pushback seems to directly contradict the meaning of target, which is in context can be defined as a desired goal. So they try to walk it back and say this is our desired goal. And here's what I want to say about the desired goal versus actually forcing. What they mean when they do that is they throw it out there. They just throw it all out there. knowing good and well that I don't care how liberal your city is. New York City's not going to not have a stake, okay? Nowhere to be found. There's not going to be Austin, Texas. There's nobody going to be driving a pickup truck in Austin, Texas, okay? They know that. So they say we're going to ban it all.
Is it the spaghetti test? You throw it out there and see what sticks to the wall?
So if we get 20% of the people that buy into it, they consider that to be a huge, huge blessing. It's insane. The people, who are these people that think this and come up with this? And who are the people that sign these documents and say, yeah, we'll do it? Lord have mercy. Help us, Jesus.
What?
Help us, Jesus. Well, good thing about it, I don't know. I don't even have any more jokes. I'm trying to transition these stories with jokes, and I ain't even got any more. Let's just rapid fire before we bring Uncle Jimmy in. And just like that, this is from End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. The Brazilian Central Bank goes live with digital currency. It's official. The Brazilian Central Bank has announced the introduction of its CBDC called the DREX. And it goes on to say, DREX is coming to facilitate the life of Brazilians. With a new face, our central bank digital currency project created and operated by Brazilian Central Bank has its own name. The brand development by Central Bank, blah, 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 is basically saying Brazil, of course, is a part of BRICS, is going full digital. Confirmed. Digital currency, there's the bugs man again, will be used to control the masses. Watch this. I want to just skip on down this right here. It says, European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde, we've seen her many times before, recently fell victim to a prank call. Some of you know about this. Some of you don't. Fell victim to a prank call in which she unwittingly revealed that Europe's central bank digital currency, the digital euro, will have, quote, limited amount of control, end quote. In the video prank posted online last month, a prankster impersonating Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky had a conversation with Lagarde. Here are some facts of the prank call. I'm going to play a clip of the prank call so you know it's real.
Oh, my goodness, you have it?
I have a clip of it. This is what she said when she thought she was talking to the president of Ukraine. We are considering whether for very small amounts, anything that is around 300 or 400 euros, we could have a mechanism where there is zero control. Basically, we're going to give them a little bit, make them think, hey, we don't care what you do with this. But that could be dangerous, said Lagarde, recalling a previous terrorist attack in France that was believed to be financed by rechargeable anonymous credit cards. Late last month, the European Union introduced new cash payment limits of 7,000 euros, $76.45 US. The cap is lower in some member states in the EU, such as only 1,000 pounds in France and Italy. The region also imposes restrictions on anonymous crypto assets transfers over 1,000 euros. It says the prank call and its resulting revelations come amid a large discussion about CBDCs and their roles that they may play in the future of global finance. RFK Jr., who's running for president on the Democrat side, recently filed to run for U.S. president, shared his concerns via Twitter on Wednesday. He said, quote, a CBDC tied to digital ID and social credit score will allow the government to freeze your assets or limit your spending to approved vendors if you fail to comply with arbitrary dictates, i.e. wham mandates.
Can you read that paragraph again, starting at the top?
A CBDC, this is the words of RFK Jr., tied to a digital ID and social credit score will allow the government to freeze your assets or limit your spending to approved vendors if you fail to comply with arbitrary dictates, i.e. wham mandates, Kennedy's verified account tweeted. So here is a sign of a little short clip of the prank. CBDC, she confirms, will be used for control. So here she is on a prank, apparently Zoom call.
We are preparing the ground. We want to be ready. We want to be trained, but it will not be decided until October 23.
Notice there's a lot of stuff coming in October. Yeah. They've told you to have all your WANs in place. She's saying will not be decided until October 23rd.
As I said, I don't want Meta, Google, or Amazon to suddenly come up with a currency that would take over the sovereignty of Europe. Now we have in Europe this threshold. Above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the grey market. You take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail. But, you know, the digital...
We have to... If you use more than 1,000 euros cash and you get caught, you could be fined or go to jail. This is the leader of the European financial market.
The euro is going to have a limited amount of control. There will be control. You're right. You're completely right. We are considering whether for very small amounts, you know, anything that is around 300, 400 euros, we could have a mechanism where there is zero control. But that could be...
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is ECB president, European currency board president, Christine Lagarde.
Why is this not being shown everywhere?
Exactly.
Everyone needs to get this.
Exactly. This is where we're going. Yeah. They have plans for me and you. Their plans are not about them. It's about us. And the millions are lining up.
Total control.
Saying, let's go.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Now, this next one, Sandy, as we get ready to bring in Uncle Jimmy, y'all don't leave because we're gonna bring in.
Is he waiting in the wings?
He's waiting in the wings.
He's getting anxious over there.
I hear him. He's like, "Don't forget me.
We're coming to you."
That's my alien talk. So I have to be really, really careful on this next one.
Oh, you haven't been careful up till now?
I've not been careful.
You're going to start being careful.
This is very careful, especially when you see the headline, because so the WAN jab. The way that they described this technology was mRNA. Okay, you're very educated on this. And
I understand a little. I understand that Dr. Robert Malone is supposedly responsible for introducing the mRNA to us.
Right.
I don't really have a lot of information about what you're going to talk about next.
Okay, because this is news to both of us. That this is breaking, and obviously the mainstream media is not going to cover this. So, if you're listening and you've got your phone in your pocket, you're listening to your AirPods, just go ahead and you probably need to read this one and watch this one because there's going to be some things that I'm going to put on the screen that I'm not going to say. Pfizer caught lying about mRNA until after rollout. It is confirmed in official documents. And even on their website, I confirmed it myself today that the M doesn't actually stand for what we thought it stood for and what we were told. Because we were told that mRNA meant messenger RNA.
Right.
Send a message to the spike protein, right? And then do its job. But it actually stood for modified. Sharing his research on Twitter, lawyer Tom Renz exposed that the WAN, widely advertised as mRNA, messenger RNA, were in fact lab-created hybrids known as mod RNA. That's right. mRNA is designed not to send a message within the DNA, but to modify the DNA. Tom Renz has accused the Food and Drug Administration, Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, Pfizer, and other misleading world about the true nature of the WAN and waiting until after the WAN rollout to admit the truth of the experimental product. In his statement, Renz claims that the widely recognized mRNA technology allegedly utilized in the vaccines is not what it appears to be. Now, I'm not going to read all of this because that's when I'm going to really get into some situations. But I'm going to put up on the screen that you can go follow this guy, Tom Renz. You see his RNZ on there, and you can see that he has the documentation and screenshots of the website of Pfizer. So what I did is I went to Pfizer, and I did what he said. He said, go there. Let me see if I can make it go show more here. It's going to take me to Twitter. Let me see if I can show you this. Okay, so he says, the mod RNA is lab-created hybrid designed to create changes in your genes that last longer and could potentially create a permanent change in you. It also has the potential to have massive unintended consequences in the other 3,300 billion lines of code that make up humanity. He shows you the screenshots, and it goes on to tell you how, if you continue to scroll and read all of his subsequent tweets about it, how to go to the Pfizer website and search for it. And I did that. And I had never heard, Sandy, the term mod RNA. Had you?
No.
But it is on Pfizer's website as one of the two different types of WAWAs that are not based on the previous way we always made WAWAs from using the organic material, the actual virus. And, of course, these were all genetically made.
So
there's two different types.
We can probably
it's unreal.
Use the word synthetic or synthesized.
Yeah.
This is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And did he find this out by just digging on his own through
I don't know.
Documentation?
I don't know how he found it out.
He's uncovered this. This is the first we've heard anybody say anything
But the
about
crazy
this.
thing is you can read about it on the Pfizer website. You can literally read about it. I did today. That it is, and many that's in the medical field may be familiar with that term. We were not familiar with that term. We had heard mRNA, and we had always been told that was the messenger RNA. And then you can read what each one. In fact, somebody even in the Twitter thread, he went to ChatGPT and the AI and said, "Tell me the difference between mod RNA and messenger RNA," and it gave a detail. You can do that if you want to use AI and do that, and you can see a detailed breakdown of how each of them affect the body differently. And so, I'm not saying that some of the WAWAs are not messenger RNA, but the accusation is that before they were ever even released to the public, they were mod RNA. Now, they may have got to becoming messenger RNA at one point. I don't know. But think about it. I just think modification RNA seems a little bit more spooky to me.
Well, that just, and I've seen comments in the text in the last couple of minutes, in the chat in the last couple of minutes, that just makes you go to the whole CRISPR-9 thing, the whole gene editing thing.
Yes.
It's just scary and indicting language.
It is. It really is. Well.
Oh, look at this. Jesus Freak said that's in the name of the other company, Moderna.
Ooh, good catch there, Jesus Freak.
He's been all over it the whole night.
Yes, he has.
Many great comments.
Well, old Klaus Schwab, he speaks like a German. Do I sound like a German when I speak like this? German. I want to sound like a German. As I speak in my German dialect, I say to you that Germany. I speak in my southern intellect. Old Germany. Good old Germany. I tell you, it's back into his old ways. Germany is building mass surveillance apparatus.
Again?
Similar to the Nazis and Stasi, historians warn. Germany is currently constructing a huge surveillance apparatus. You have to ask the question, why? Yes. What is it going to be used for? Reminiscent of that created by the Nazis in the East German Stasi. Nabe, an outspoken communist critic, and a Green Party member, explained the nation's new whistleblower protection law, which came into force on July 2nd this year, actually promotes employees reporting coworkers involved in illegal activities. The tip-off points won't allow pursue suspicions of criminality, blah, blah, blah. He insists the lack of transparency will result in people reporting on colleagues. The country's political mainstream is becoming increasingly authoritarian as it considers whether to ban the populist Alternative for Germany party. But they are building a surveillance system, Sandy. They are getting ready to track us for some reason.
So is that key wording for me to tell me that they're probably already doing it if they're just now talking about it? Is that what you're trying to say?
I would say so.
Should we say thank God for Uncle Jimmy? I don't know if that's good to say or not, but he does make for a nice transition,
yes, he does.
he?
Supernatural AI update. Man, that is YouTube gold.
Do you think so?
It's YouTube gold, Sandy. Awesome. One day, in the annals of time, when they look back over in the history of YouTube.
I'm sure they'll be looking at us and looking at Uncle Jimmy.
When they have the YouTube Hall of Fame, these are some of the things.
No. When they break open that time capsule, right?
Yes. They're going to be like, oh, this is where we all owe it to the supernatural artificial intelligence update. And then there'll be a whole room that's called the Years of the Wow. And there'll be a timeline of how the whole world adopted the term wow. And people were saying,
we better put one of those T-shirts in there if that's the case.
Yeah, we need to get that T-shirt. A T-shirt down at the bottom. Can you imagine when we're already with the Lord? We're all gone. The next generation, if they're still here, they go in there and they see the wow compartment of the YouTube, and they have a T-shirt and it says, "Don't get the wow," and that's down at the bottom. It says, LarryRagland.tv. They're like, man, let's go. Let's go to that website.
Thank God for the digital age, so we'll be preserved, right?
Exactly. Okay, so part of the AI, it's not just the supernatural and not just to talk about Uncle Jimmy. There's a lot of UFO talk that we won't get to tonight that we'll cover a lot next week because there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike. But France is mandating biometrics and facial recognition data, which is all tied into AI at certain border crossings. They're already instituting it. So let me tell you something. When you are instituting biometrics and facial recognition at border crossings, you're preparing the mindset for that 15-minute city. You're preparing free movement is being restrained. French authorities have placed an order for 544 kiosks and 250 tablets to collect face and fingerprint biometrics from ferry car passengers amid concerns that queues could form from UK passengers traveling to France when the entry-exit system within the European Union goes operational. Wow. The Telegraph alludes to a recent report from France's Cour des Comptes, a government audit institution, which indicates that the system could add up to the time required for border checks to be completed, and passengers will have to be scanned in front of a digital kiosk to authenticate their travel credentials. So more and more we're seeing biometrics everywhere you go, says it's now expected the project could get underway by the end of the year. Although there are still hesitations that things may finally get going only after the Summer of Olympics due to take place in Paris next year. Ladies and gentlemen, those Olympics in Paris, I don't know what.
I won't be anywhere near there.
Lord have mercy. There is no telling what may be going on there. So what do you think about that?
I think I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
At all. It's just another element of this total control.
We're already over 2 hours, baby.
What?
How in the world?
God, you talk a lot.
Would you calm down? You just don't ever stop. No, I know I talk a lot.
Yes.
But you love me, don't you?
Yes, I still love you.
You still love me? The whole world just heard you say, do you still see greatness in me?
I do.
Oh, baby.
I see greatness in you.
I see greatness in you. Which makes me want to say, have you got my book? What a transition. That was not planned.
Why did you not bring the book?
I didn't bring the book. I got a hardcover of the book. Let me. It's so amazing. Look, you go to LarryRagland.com and you can scroll down and you can get a copy of the book. You can get hardcover and paperback is available. Yes. So it's very, very, and that hardcover edition, man, it looks so good, don't it? It feels so good in the hand. It is just incredible.
Well, let's just pause here for just one brief moment.
Okay.
Is it Lisa Marie who had the great story?
Yeah, it was. And I see Lisa Marie right there.
She's right there.
She was telling us a story that her son and daughter-in-law, I think, was having an intense discussion. And at the end of the discussion, she heard one of them say, I see greatness in you. And she said, what did you just say? She said, I see greatness in you. And they had never read the book, and they had never heard of our program. And she sat them down and showed them our program. And they were blown away because something just it's almost like there's this movement. The spirit realm is releasing those 5 words into people.
But that was so crazy to hear that he said that to her. Never heard the phrase. I mean, no, we don't have copyright on it.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about our book, about us, about, the show or anything. What a great lead-in to say, well, hey, why don't you check this out?
Yep.
And I appreciate that. I think that's great.
Said, yep, sure did. That's awesome. It's awesome, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, if you get your copy of the book, we'd appreciate it. It's truly, truly a blessing. But let's cover a couple more news items tonight. Mind control. Study claims that deep fakes, these final 2, I got 2 quick ones, is going to blow your mind, will start manipulating our brains to remember false memories. Did you hear what I'm going to say it again? Deep fakes are going to start getting in our brains, manipulating our brains to remember false memories.
Are you going to tell me that they're going to use ELF to do this with?
I don't know what ELF is, but yes, probably. What is ELF?
Extreme low frequency.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's through deepfakes. So our study doesn't claim that the deepfakes can distort our memories, just that they're not any more effective than existing ones. It goes on to say, do you remember the remake of The Matrix where Will Smith played Neo? Or the remake of The Shining when Brad Pitt played Jack? And Angelina Jolie as Shelley, or when Charlize Theron starred in Captain Marvel, or Chris Pratt was Indiana Jones. Well, if you don't, you're not going mad. These movies never existed. But if you're scratching your head thinking, wait, but I swear I remember watching Brad Pitt smash down a hotel door with an axe, you're not going mad either. Last month, researchers at University College Cork in Ireland published findings from their research into false memories, which found that reading text descriptions of non-existent films could prompt participants to falsely remember watching or hearing about the films. Interestingly, the study also found that watching deep fake videos produced a similar effect and also resulted in participants falsely remembering non-existent films. Here's what I want to tell you, is what this means.
It's a Mandela effect.
It's
the Mandela effect.
Yeah, it really is. And look at these deep fakes. It's unreal. So that's Brad Pitt.
And so people see these things and are like, oh, yeah. I loved that one.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
So
well,
here
it actually never happened.
It never happened. But let me tell you where this is going to happen, and what this is really going to be horrible is when people start remembering seeing somebody commit a crime.
Oh.
That they really didn't.
Whoa.
Think about it. They'll testify under oath and even pass lie detector tests because in their mind they're not lying. They have a memory of seeing this person do this.
This is craziness.
This is the programming that's coming.
I mean,
this is what's coming.
They can read your mind. They can implant things into your mind. Oh.
And the last one, good news. Artificial intelligence can resurrect classic movie stars. Have you heard?
Tom Hanks tried to warn you.
He tried to warn us.
He tried to tell you
and
with
honestly,
this new technology.
I'm going to tell you what I think. This whole strike that's happening with the writers, they're not telling you what's really going on. It's really about this, because it's not about that AI is going to write the scripts. It's about the Hollywood actors know they're not needed anymore.
Yep.
And so the whole industry is about to be turned upside down. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but they are literally getting ready to release a brand new movie starring him.
Yeah, he's only been dead, 70 years?
James Dean.
How long has he been passed away?
Long time.
Long time.
Another reason to love artificial intelligence is that it can resurrect classic movie stars. Celebrities such as James Dean can be brought back to life as digital clones thanks to the power of artificial intelligence, but it is raising troubling questions about what rights any of us have after we die. And as you said, Tom Hanks has already had his lawyers negotiating his future movie contracts after he is dead.
Yep.
Playing a 39-year-old Tom Hanks. He said, I say this, wouldn't it be great to finally be rid of Meryl Streep and Josh Gad and replace them with Jean Harlow and Lou Costello? We now live in a strange land where a few exceptions, Denzel Washington, Sandra Bullock, Clint Eastwood, these are no movie stars. There are no more movie stars. It's mostly mouthy, smug, classless, unappealing, uptight scolds and idiots covered in spandex surrounded by green screens. That's some tough wordage, but he speaks the truth. People under 40 have no idea how good life was when we had movie stars that actually walked the earth, blah, blah, blah. It says, what if AI could bring back John Wayne, Charles Bronson, Barbara Stanwyck, Better Day? I think it's supposed to be Betty Davis. Maybe it's a Better Davis, a better Betty Davis. I don't know. Clark Gable, Burt Reynolds, Cary Grant, Carol Lombard, Ingrid Bergman, and the rest of all the prime. What's the downside? Well, the downside is they're dead, and it's not real, and it's going to put people out of work. Yeah. But here's the reality, and then we'll close with this, is that the article goes on to say that there is a movie being produced right now. It is not coming. It is being made right now starring James Dean. It is coming out in the movie theaters. It is not going to be. You remember when in Star Wars after what's her name played Princess Leia had passed away?
Carrie.
Yeah, and they generated her to show, and you could tell. I mean, it wasn't great. It was. So
my question is,
but that's not gonna be like this.
Did they use that kind of technology because people already knew that wasn't really her? Did they actually have better then? But whether it was or not, certainly today it's advanced.
Absolutely. This is what I'm hearing about this movie and the future movies that are coming. They're saying you will not be able to know it's not real. You will not be able to. Now, you knew it in Star Wars.
It's very bothersome.
Yeah.
Very
So what does that mean? So me and you always go to this. Are we already seeing that? Yes. I mean, are there already newscasters? Are there already extras in a movie that's in the background that they didn't want to pay somebody or have the frustration of getting somebody off the street where you're seeing somebody walk by and all this in the background? Are we already seeing AI-generated people walking in the background? I would tend to say yes.
Have we not been told that you've already been watching an AI newscaster?
Yep. Yep.
That really freaked me out. And obviously, I definitely want to know which one, who it is that they're talking about.
Yeah, me too. Now, before we go, if y'all want to help us out on our television ministry, which, by the way, let me throw this up here. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, we have our first show is now on our YouTube channel, and now every Sunday night at 5 p.m., you'll be able to watch the replay of the previous week. If you're not able to watch it live on Christian television, on DirecTV or whatever, you can watch the replay of it every Sunday evening at 5 p.m. Central Time, and this particular one called I See Greatness in You, which is our first show, is now available. All you got to do is search for it, look at our previous videos, and you can see it. But if you'd like to help us as we expand our reach into the world, all you got to do is go into LarryRagland.com, click the Give tab. And I want to show you something interesting that is brand new here. You can give. That's always been there. You can click and give any amount one time. You can write a check to Larry Ragland Ministries. I'll leave this on the screen. But if you scroll down below that, there's 3 levels of partners now. That is a monthly recurring partnership if you'd like to be a partner. We have a silver partner, gold partner, and remnant partner, $10, $50, or $100 a month. Knowing that that's a recurring gift, if you want to just go ahead and say, you know what, I want to recurringly support above that $5, And I know this is going towards the television ministry. This is going because, YouTube don't cost us anything, but Christian television costs a lot of money. And so if we really want to expand that, I heard from our producer today that he's getting good reports, and he really wants us to expand to one more station. And he said if we are able to expand to that station, of course, it's going to cost a little bit more money. He said that would more than double, not just the potential, but the actual viewers. So that's going to be powerful. So we need people to partner with us, and you can see on the screen $10 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month, or a check for any amount, or you can click to give. But anything you give is such a blessing to us. We appreciate it. Any parting thoughts, Sandy, as we get ready to leave our Big Picture family after 2 hours and 14 minutes?
What? You just keep trying to top yourself. What are you doing?
Every week I keep thinking we're going to do less.
You're not. Okay. So I just want to say it's been another crazy rapid fire news night. I want to thank everyone for hanging in there with us. I know it gets rough sometimes, but listen, we got to do this thing together. So
yes. So thank you for all your support. Thank you to the partners. Thank you for all those that hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All the new people, welcome to the Big Picture family. We
so
thank
many
God.
Great comments and chat tonight. So great to see you out there. It's just wonderful.
See you next time. We always want to remind you that no matter what night of the week it is, whether we got a guest or we're by ourselves, we ain't woke. But we are certainly awake. Good night.
Good night.